Thanks for having me. My name is Lena Duke. I'm a social media strategist. I work with academics and senior executives on their social media strategy. I'm just going to share my screen and then.
Yeah, and don't forget to declare your conflicts of interest if you have any, either of you.
I don't have any conflicts of interest.
Excellent.
So can you see my screen okay?
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Really delighted to be with you today. I have built a business on consulting for academics and senior executives in social media. I help them use social media effectively to raise their profile and their visibility online. I speak on the topic very frequently. I've presented at Harvard, McGill, U of T, universities really across Canada, and I write about it frequently. I'm really passionate about social media. I've been published in the Harvard Business Review, Forbes, and CNN, Globe and Mail on the topic. So I wanted to give you an overview of the session today. This is what you'll walk away having learned: how to build an impactful profile on Twitter, how to compose an effective Twitter bio, really important, how to write good tweets, and we'll really simplify it, and Sharon will be getting into the nitty-gritty details, how to use hashtags on Twitter, and how to raise your visibility. I'll be sharing some general tips that you can implement right away. Now, feel free to live tweet throughout the session. I just posted a tweet just before I hopped on. Use the hashtag MacPFD13 so we can track it and look at it. This is my Twitter handle, Lena Duke MBA. This is Sharon Ball 8, and I'm trying to convince her to change that Twitter handle. We'll talk about it in a bit. And of course, MacPFD. Now, if you really want a lot of retweets, you should really tag Teresa, Dr. Chan. And her Twitter handle is TChanMD, because she's got over 12,000 followers. Oh my God. So she's very active, and she's actually a really good example to follow on social media in terms of what to tweet about and how to do it and how frequently to do it. So why use Twitter anyway? In my opinion, Twitter is the most underestimated skill, networking tool. Why? It's a great way to meet people in your space. In fact, Twitter is the reason I'm presenting before you today. So I met Dr. Chan on Twitter, and that was years ago. And I reached out to her and I sent her, I really liked her vibe and her energy online. And I reached out to her, I think through a DM, and I said, let's set up a time to chat. I remember, I think we Skyped at the time. That was years ago. And then I think about a couple of years ago, we collaborated. She invited me alongside other people to collaborate on a paper on social media, which we did. I was looking at it today. It has 19 citations on ResearchGate. And of course, once again, I saw the tweet about today's conference, and I said, oh, I'd love to present. She was like, oh yeah, by all means. So this is how effective Twitter is. When you build relationships and you reach out to people, you actually end up collaborating and doing what you love. It also helps you to select, pick and choose who to network with, because you can choose who to follow and what communities to be part of. Keeps you updated on the news and what's happening in your space, and it makes you look cool, like you're in the know. And when you meet people in real life, and hopefully we'll get to do that more often now, when things are back to normal, it's almost like you belong to this secret society, like, oh yeah, I know you from Twitter. So a few months ago, I was getting ready to present to faculty overseas, at a university overseas, and I was prepping for my talk, and I posted on Twitter this question: can you help me find academics who met on Twitter and end up collaborating on a paper or a project? And I used the hashtag academic chatter, which is a very popular hashtag for academics. And I was just overwhelmed by the responses. I mean, you can see I have 22 retweets and 30 likes, but it's just a ton of responses. I mean, my phone was ringing off with notifications the whole time. So just wanted to show you some examples from that, from the responses. So Aziz Khan from Stanford reached out to me and said he found his first postdoc position through Twitter, and then he ended up writing his policy paper with 2 people that he met on Twitter. Someone else, Ibrahim from Moffitt Cancer Center, actually he's now with Harvard, but at the time he reached out and he said, yes, I found I found out about my current postdoc on Twitter and published a paper, and 3 others. He told me that at Moffitt Cancer Center, they have this international competition every single year. They use the hashtag Moffitt IMO, and it's a cancer research competition where they team up cross-discipline people together to work on a problem. And this is the person in charge who runs, Sandy Anderson. He runs that competition, and he actually makes it a point every year to have an award for the best tweet, the person who tweets the most at that competition, using that hashtag Moffitt IMO. So people reach out to me. So this Carrie Woodruff from U of T, Director of Paleontology, told me how she's run a paper with so-and-so, also met on Twitter. So people reached out to me. I was really taken aback. This is really cool. Jeremiah says that he met someone on Twitter and then someone else, and they would start working on a project together exploring how social media might be a useful source for observations of natural phenomena. Really cool stuff. So let's get into what makes a good Twitter bio. Nicole Baldwin, Dr. Nicole Baldwin, is a pediatrician. She's really popular on TikTok, but even her videos on TikTok go viral on Twitter. So let's look at her Twitter bio. She says, pediatrician, MD, wife, mom, blogger, and she uses the hashtags pediatrician, so me dogs, vaccines work. She gets actually a lot of negative, not press, but she gets a lot of negative tweets from the anti-vaccine people on Twitter. But I thought her Twitter bio is very straightforward and simple and easy to emulate. So if you look at a Twitter bio checklist, include your credentials in your bio, MD in this case, or PhD, or whatever it is, MBA, include Twitter handle of your institution. Really good because it saves up people the time. If they're trying to figure out who are you affiliated with, it just makes it easier. Show your personal side. So let's say you're someone who likes to run, you like to do yoga. Sharing those personal interests is really important because it helps you connect with other people with the same interests. Include hashtags that you use regularly, but don't cram your whole Twitter bio with hashtags. So for example, Twitter Med, academic chat, or whatever it is that you use to engage with your community. Here's another example. This is an ER physician. Hers is a little bit different. I like how she has the Canadian flag to indicate that she is based in Canada. Includes the institutions that she's affiliated with. Then she has MBA, ex-financial analyst, voiceover artist, just gives it a little bit of an edge. So I wanted to share some tips on raising your visibility. Sharon will be deep diving into more of the anatomy of a tweet and just the nitty-gritty details of tweeting. But here's some tips to help you raise your visibility on Twitter. Focus on your niche. Talk about what you know, what you do best. So if you're a doctor, don't talk about finance, because you want people to know what to expect when they start following you. Having targeted content helps you build a targeted following. So I'll grab this tweet from Dr. Noor Khatib, who I just showed you her bio a couple of slides ago. And she posted this tweet in April: please come to the Emerge if you have a serious illness, don't ignore your crushing chest pains, etc. So this is, she's an ER doctor, so you would expect a tweet like that from her, using the hashtags coronavirus and stay home, stay safe. Engage your audience in meaningful conversations. Really important, because you're not there to broadcast information at people. Twitter is to network and to give and take, ask questions, respond to questions, have a conversation with people just online. And I have a story to share with you. Years ago, maybe about 8 years ago, I was, at the time the book Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg came out. And people on Twitter were really talking about it. It got a lot of buzz on Twitter at the time, using the hashtag Lean In. And at the time, a VP that I was following, she was the VP of finance at a major university, the number 2 person at that university. And she asked her followers, what is your lean in moment? And I responded and I said, it was the time when I was doing my MBA and had my child the same year. I just shared that, literally that in a tweet. And I replied to her tweet and she goes, wow, this is really cool. Thank you for sharing. I decided to DM her right away at the time. And I said, I'd love to chat with you some more. Do you have time for coffee? Sure enough, she put me in touch with her executive assistant. About a month later, I was in her office, having coffee, chatting about leaning in, and of course, social media, my area of expertise. She ended up referring me to people in her organization, so the department heads, and that institution ended up becoming my biggest client. She moved on. Just wanted to share with you the tweet. She said, what was your lean in moment? Mine was accepting a promotion when I was on mat leave with twins. And this is, I think I snapped this picture and I included that picture in the tweet when I responded to her tweet. And I said, yeah, my lean in moment was doing my MBA program while pregnant with first baby. I finished the program 3 months after she was born. But anyway, that relationship started on Twitter. It was really like this Twitter exchange. She is today a CEO of a major hospital in Toronto. And I've been mentoring her on social media. And it all started with a Twitter exchange, the one you saw. So Twitter is really effective in building relationships if you are genuine and you really engage in meaningful conversations. And the advantage is to bypass the hierarchy that exists in the real world. And it's a great way to network, smart, not hard, not spend so much time. I love this quote by Kristen Stewart. She was a VP of Twitter. Now she is the head of media at the World Economic Forum. And she says, the more we share, the more we invite others to connect. And connections are key to building networks in the personal and professional spheres of our lives. Networks, as we all know, are the breeding grounds of opportunity. Want to share some ideas to engage on Twitter. Search relevant hashtags. So, hashtags that you want to, that are popular and that are relevant to you. You can search for that hashtag and see what people are talking about and try to engage in the conversation. You can respond to questions, you can ask questions, share helpful articles, and retweet others, because Twitter is like a community. You're building a community around your brand. So when you retweet others, they are likely to retweet you as well. And that gives you more visibility on the platform. Writing threads, so social media. It's when you write a tweet and you reply in that tweet and it ends up looking something like this. So this is a thread. So when you have an idea, you want to expand on that idea, you can include sort of like the first one would be like the main tweet. And I recommend that you say this is a thread and then you reply to yourself. That gives your tweet right away more visibility. But also if you have an idea and you don't want to cram everything in 280 characters because that's the limit, then it gives you the chance to elaborate. This is actually a real thread by Dr. Imogen Ko. She talks, this is a few months ago at the beginning of the outbreak of COVID-19, and she And she mentions, she uses the hashtag toilet paper panic, but it's really, it was actually a fun thread to read, and it was very relevant at the time. This is really important because if you are posting a tweet that's, you know, really relevant to your space, but you're doing, no one will see it. You really want to post on Twitter when people are on Twitter. This is really important. That actually applies to all social media, including Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So I wanted to share with you what the good times are to tweet. According to stats from many websites, Twitter between 1 and 3 p.m. Lunchtime seems to be a really good time to post actually on Twitter, on all social media. Then that's when people are taking a break, maybe grabbing their lunch and looking at their phones. In my experience, Twitter is also good first thing in the morning around 8 a.m. and in the evenings as well. Now, if you say, okay, you know, this is really great, I'm gonna tweet tomorrow and I'm gonna set everything up, and then you forget about it, it doesn't work that way. It has to be regular. Make it a habit. Perhaps it's like the thing you do when you grab your coffee in the morning, or when you take your lunch. So make it a habit, and the more you do it, the better you become at it. I have a mailing list, and I send people my mailing list case studies and tips and articles once in a while. So if you'd like to learn more, please go to my website and subscribe.